the Cam Newton part of it is interesting. Now, I lived in Charlotte for 8 years, and I can tell you firsthand that Cam Newton, he's a polarizing figure. There are people who are Panthers fans who in the same breath will tell you, Cam Newton, he's my quarterback. He's a great quarterback, but I don't like him.
Yeah, there is that polarizing factor with this guy. Tim Kuhn of ESPN.com now with a look at Superman, who is super complicated.
What do you see when you see Cam Newton? Do you see a tough, mature leader of the league's best regular season team? A guy whose 35 touchdown passes and 10 rushing touchdowns figured to earn him NFL MVP? Or do you see something not quite right? An insincere smile, a self-absorbed dance, a manufactured personality? He's challenging our perceptions for sure. Quarterbacks are supposed to submerge their personalities in a sea of stoicism. Wide receivers can smile and dance, so can running backs. But Cam Newton smiles and Cam Newton dances, and he refuses to abide by the passive rules of his position. What do you see when you see Cam? It's complicated, right? He's always been viewed through the cloudy and distorted lenses of race, immaturity, greed, and insincerity. How are you supposed to know what you see? Know this, at least. He occupies a unique spot in football's cultural landscape. He knows the history of black quarterbacks in the NFL. He knows he arrived on the scene at a pivotal time after the failures of Jamarcus Russell and Vince Young and the prison term of Michael Vick. Cam knew he was being held to a different standard. He saw the looks and heard the doubts, and he knew he had to speak correctly and dress correctly and act correctly to dispel them. Blake Bortles didn't have to prove he wasn't Ryan Leaf. Newton wasn't playing by those same rules. There's an undeniable law of quarterbacking. It's not enough to be good on your own. You must bring people with you. It's not a position, it's an office. And now, with a smile on his face, Cam Newton is bringing an entire team with him. He is occupying the office. You're free to see whatever you like in that grin. Joy, arrogance, threat. But maybe it's something else entirely. Maybe it's nothing more than a mirror being held up for the rest of us to see ourselves.
So we go to NFL Nation, Panthers reporter David Newton. He's in Charlotte, someone who's around Cam Newton on almost a daily basis. What do you see?
Well, Nicole, I see a guy that's just not afraid to show who he really is. He's a guy that lets his personality out there. I see a guy that hates to lose. You saw that during his first couple of seasons. We had the towel over his head and people saw him sulking. He didn't like losing, so he showed that side of him. I see a guy that likes to have a really good time out there. He does it on the field with his dabbing. He does it with the photos they pose for on the sideline. When he's winning and having fun, he just is not afraid to show that side of him. And I see a guy that's very studious and wants to get his work to the best it can be. He's a guy that you'll see here sometimes 10 or 11 or 12 o'clock at night at the stadium studying film. He comes in on his days off trying to perfect what he does. And I just see a guy that doesn't really care what other people think, and that allows him to be himself, and winning has allowed him to be himself more than ever before.
David, I don't want to ask you to be the spokesperson for his teammates, but in your view, what do his teammates see when they look at Cam?
They see a lot of the same things. You can just see in the locker room that they enjoy being around him. They enjoy what he brings to them and how he keeps them loose and lets them have fun. You hear the music blaring in there. You hear the dancing in there. You see the dancing. And he's a guy that just this whole team kind of follows around. He's the Pied Piper, I guess, of this group, where they follow him. What his mood is, that's the mood of this team. And that's one of the reasons this team's been so successful, because even when there was pressure on them, they were able to stay loose, and he's a big reason for that.
They play the Seahawks this weekend. They get to host that game. They just were able to beat the Seahawks this season in Seattle. Big hump to kind of get over there. Now, you saw something in the Panthers locker room this week that the team is using as a motivational tool. What is it?
Well, on Monday, the defensive backs had a sign over their lockers that said Thief Avenue. Well, Roman Harper, who's, I guess, the mayor of Thief Avenue, said that was grammatically incorrect. It should be Thieves Avenue or Thief Avenue. So Ron Rivera's daughter, Courtney, she fixed that. She had a stylized sign that's over their locker rooms. It was put up there yesterday. They believe that that's just something that shows that this is a team that creates a lot of turnovers, that has leads the league, I guess, in forced turnovers and takeaways, or thievery, as you might call it. So they like to have a lot of fun with that. That group in general is probably one of the loosest groups in this locker room. And I think Trey Boston kind of summed up best.
It's just, our way on the field, we're thieves, we've got to do, turnovers any way possible, punching it out, peanut punch, catching interceptions, some way, find a way to get the ball out, and we're going to take it from you, thieving.
Well, the Panthers really need some takeaways if they want to beat the Seahawks this weekend. In their 4 regular season games, they had 3 interceptions against Russell Wilson. They didn't have any last year when they played against the Seahawks in the playoffs and lost 31-17.
All right, David, all eyes will be on Cam this weekend. Huge game for him, the progression of his NFL career. David, thanks.